Welcome to the 1991 DOS game, Lemmings. This is one of my personal favorite games ever, and I just think that everybody should remember how wonderful it is, so I'm making this little review of the basic mechanics of the games. These are some of the sort of second-tier games, so it's assumed that you know the basic mechanics at this point, but they're still really tricky puzzles, like you'll actually struggle with them. This is level 1 of the tricky puzzles. So you have an entrance there where the lemmings come out of, and then you have these skills with which to help them or save them. You can build staircases, you can stop the lemmings. Now the main thing here is this gap. So we have to build over the gap by making a bridge. And I just think that this is an amazing game because it's such a simple concept, but I get so attached to the little lemmings and I don't want to see them die. And so I try desperately to save them, even though I know it's extremely difficult to actually successfully save all the lemmings. Oh no! See, they almost all fall in the cavern. You can try to save them by clicking them and building the bridge up. And they'll keep building, but they are very stupid, and you lose many to a chasm in a level like this. And you can see that they're trying to get to an exit over there. Most of the time when I start a new level, I scout it out ahead of time, but I've played this one before, so I knew what I was going to do. I was just going to bash right through that wall. So the little lemmings have green hair and blue bodies and great big giant hands, and they can bash through just about anything. You see this lemming is going back to the left, and I really want him to stop and not die, but I don't think there's any saving him. I think he might be a goner. One of the things about lemmings that I really love is the fact that when you're playing, you can speed the game up so that when you get to about this point, you can make them all come faster. So you'll see me speeding the game up and making more lemmings come per minute so that I can finish it, because at this point there's no more puzzle. It's just a matter of waiting for the lemmings to come out, and then you get this massive zerg of lemmings all running through the level all at once, which I always just think is adorable. Lemmings levels are really simple. There's only a couple types of obstacles that you'll see, but since you only have 8 tools to deal with them, you have to think really creatively about how to solve the problem. So this level is no problem, and I solved it really easily, but the next level I actually think is a better example of what a Lemmings level is. So I immediately had to pause it and look around and figure out what I was going to do. I saw this long thing and the exit on the other side, so I said, oh, easy, I'll just dig a hole. But of course it's going to be more complicated than that. So you'll see I'm trying to sort of figure out what the trick here is, because there's always sort of a trick to the later levels of Lemmings. And it's great the way I dig the hole here, and I'm so pleased with myself that this little guy, he goes down and he survives, and I'm thinking there's no problem, and then the rest of them just go splat. I don't like it when my lemmings go splat and fall off the cliff, but lemmings will be lemmings, and what they are all about is that they follow each other off the cliff and die. So I get very used to this happening. I'm confirming here at this point that yes, I have failed the level. You need 40 out of 40 to survive, and there's nothing I can do at this point to save the ones that have already crashed and died, and it's very sad. But that's okay, because the thing about Lemmings is you can always beat them. There's only about 40 levels, but they're extremely difficult. All of them past the first, I would say 8 or 9, are really tricky and will take you at least a few minutes to figure out. So you can probably finish the game in a day if you want to, but you'll have a lot of fun doing it. You'll have a lot of fun playing this game and trying to solve the puzzles and save all the lemmings. So I failed at this point. I'm going to restart and see if I can do better. So I figured that the first one lived. So what I must have to do to save 40 out of 40 is to dig 40 individual holes. But I can't be bothered to wait for them to come down, so I speed it up in thinking that it's going to be fine. And then it's not fine. You'll see in a second what happens here. And this is what's great to Lemmings. This is what's great about Lemmings to me, is that you get this sense of security in that you're like, yeah, I understand the puzzle, but even with the puzzle sort of understood in your own mind, you have to have some skills. And I just think that's great, personally. So I do the first couple holes okay, and then it all goes terribly wrong, and one of them falls, and I'm like, no. So I decide it's not worth it. I'm just going to blow them all up, and we'll do it again. And then they do this beautiful thing where they count down, and then they say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they all explode. And it's probably the most adorable explosion you'll ever see, and they turn into confetti. And so even when you fail spectacularly. Personally, I would like it if every time I failed in my life, confetti just exploded everywhere, and it said, that's okay, try again. But that's not what happens in real life. So, oh well. When I was a very little girl and I was playing this game, I thought everything was so difficult. I replayed it today, and I found that I still needed to try most of the levels multiple times because I would either get impatient and do some stupid mistake like this and just forget to click the first one, or I would just not understand the strategy the first few times. But I found that at least the first few levels I did not have a problem with, and they were just fun to go through and relearn all the mechanics and try. This game did have a reboot in the early 2000s, and it was a really good game. It was pretty similar, but I would say if you want to try out Lemmings, try the original DOS version. The only thing you'll get from the 2000s version that you won't have in this is 3D. And honestly, I don't mind 2D graphics as long as they're cute, little, adorable graphics, and I don't mind a side scroller. I don't need everything to be in 3D special effects to be good. So you'll see next that I actually do succeed at this level. I dig 40 individual holes, and it turns out well, but I think everybody should try this out for themselves, because this is just 2 levels out of what is an extremely complicated game that will take you a couple hours. I know I said there's only 40 levels, and it's true, but it'll take you a couple hours to do. So, thank you for watching. I hope you go online and search for Lemmings, because at this point it's free online. You can get emulators to give you the game, because it's from 1991 and most people don't have their old floppy disks that they bought. So, I hope you go out and try Lemmings, because it's one of my favorite games ever. It's just a great puzzler.